Hi everyone, I'm Ali GREYMOND. We're going to be answering questions about OCD recovery. These are the questions that you've asked under any of my last Q&A videos, and I do have them abbreviated just to make it easier to understand and all of that, because last few times I've been reading questions and it was a little bit more difficult. So the first question is, I'm a bit confused about ERP. When it boils down to it, is it really just about stopping compulsions? Okay, so ERP is exposure and response prevention. So we have exposure, or which means a situation that provokes OCD, like a trigger to your OCD, and then response prevention, meaning preventing the response of fear, and in terms of pure type of OCD, and then in terms of physical type of OCD, where there's physical compulsions present, preventing the doing a compulsion. So when it boils down to it, is it really just about stopping compulsions? When it comes to physical OCD, such as washing hands, yes. When it comes to bureau, the compulsion is mentally going over the situation, trying to figure out the OCD thought, trying to get reassurance that it's just OCD. So in terms of pure obsessional type of OCD, it's a little bit more complicated. In terms of just strictly physical, I wash my hands type of scenario, yes, it is about stopping compulsions. So dealing with something, for example, with hand washing, dealing with something you consider dirty, and then choosing not to wash your hands. And again, it's the choice. It doesn't mean that you're going to feel comfortable when you make that choice, but it's making the choice not to do what OCD wants you to do. So you're coming from a position of power saying, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And then you'll see that, as the more you do this, the better you're going to start to feel until it fully goes away. In the beginning, when you do this, you're going to have extreme anxiety because the brain is very much used to you reacting, the wrong way, reacting with fear. Right? So it wants you to get back to reacting with fear because that's the pattern that you've set. And I've already gone in previous shows into why this happens and all of that. But in the beginning is the hardest, and you just have to get through that period. The anxiety won't instantly go away the second you start to do ERP. So at first it gets worse, and then it starts to get better. And you just have to keep moving forward. Again, if you want more background, please watch my previous videos, and then I go into more detail of why it works like that and things like that. So next question is, where does the exposure part come into place? So the exposure is anything that triggers your OCD thought. So for example, if, say, in case of Puro, right? Say Puro that has to do with what if I had I have a bad thought about something, right? So you have bad thoughts on purpose. So meaning you're like a magical OCD. Bad thought is not going to cause something to happen, So in case, or another one is like a driving thought, right? So if I drive, what if I hit somebody, right? So choosing to drive. In case of cleaning, what if my hands are dirty, if I touch something, all of those kinds of things, I have to wash my hands. Choosing not to, right? So always choosing to do what you want to do, not what OCD wants you to do. Next question is the exposure of the intrusive thought, meaning itself, or is it the trigger? So the exposure and basically the exposure and trigger is the same thing. So yes, it is. So having an intrusive thought is an exposure and is a trigger. Now, just having the thought is not ERP. That's just the exposure. If, say, you do on purpose, have a bad thought on purpose to do kind of like an exposure, right? But then you get scared and react the wrong way, meaning react with fear, then you just made yourself worse. You took a step back instead of taking a step forward. So when you decide to do exposure, to do ERP, to do the exposure part, you have to already be willing to step over the anxiety and do the response prevention. Otherwise, there's no point. You're just going to make yourself worse and just scare yourself, right? So when you're doing ERP, or when you know you're going to be in a situation that will trigger you, that will cause you to be in an exposure, you already have to prepare yourself that you have to react correctly. So reacting correctly meaning no reaction at all. Exposure in itself kind of confuses me. I know therapists have people do exposures, like making them put the picture on the wall. I'm assuming the person means crooked. I'm supposed to habituate to this crooked picture. So basically, you're habituating to the fact that it really doesn't matter. So the picture being like this or like that doesn't matter. If the thought comes in, if the picture is crooked, something bad is going to happen, or I will, whatever the situation is, right? So you're sitting with that anxiety, you're living parallel to it, the brain sees that it really doesn't matter and moves on. That's just like simplified, right? But with response prevention, shouldn't I just try to not do the compulsion or straighten the picture? Yes, you should. So this is kind of continuing from the previous question. You should just try to not do the compulsion. But you also have to, I've been doing this for 8 years, so I know a lot of intricacies to this. In simplistic terms, yes, you should just not do the compulsion. But say if you take the example of the picture is crooked on the wall, instead of fixing it, you're letting it be there. But if you let it be there, technically you don't do anything to fix it on a physical, physically you don't go and fix it, but you're spending the entire day looking at it, worrying about it, sending the emotion of fear to your brain, showing to your brain that you're afraid. That's not ERP. That's not exposure and response prevention. You're very much doing the response. You're just not doing a physical, like the wrong response of fear. You're just not doing a physical response. So when you're doing ERP, you have to be very mindful of that, not just what you say if it's a physical OCD, not just what you're physically doing, but more so the emotion that you're sending to your brain. Are you saying to your brain, I'm in control, I'm fine, leave me alone? Or are you saying, I'm so afraid, I'm so scared? Because if your brain sees that you're scared, it's going to send you more thoughts because it's trying to prevent danger. If you're showing to your mind it's dangerous, whatever it is, it can be the silliest thing, right? But if you're showing to your mind that this is dangerous to me, that's what your mind is going to give you more of. So you have to stop sending the emotion of fear. And it goes the same thing with physical compulsions and mental compulsions, because with even all of these terms, right, the pure O versus physical OCD, they're not only this or only that, really. They're intertwined. If you take any pure O, okay, maybe not any, but I would say 99% of the pure O types, there's still a physical thing attached to it. Say for example, I'm afraid I'm going to kill somebody in the future. I go on Google, physically go on Google and look up, I don't know, people who killed themselves and try to compare myself to them. Or like all kinds of things. Or I'm afraid I'm going to kill myself, so I hide all the knives in the house. You know what I mean? Or I'm going to kill somebody, I hide all the knives in the house. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, it's going to be a balance of the two. There's always a physical, I find that generally, again, from speaking to people all day long, every day, there's always a physical component to it. So you have to kind of look at it as all part of the same thing, whether it's just a thought, whether it's a physical action. All that matters at the end of the day is what kind of signal are you sending to your brain? Are you sending a signal of fear or not? You have to stop sending the signal of fear, because the more you train your brain to say, this is dangerous, this is important, the more it's going to view it as dangerous and important. And if something is dangerous and important to you, what's the brain supposed to do? Send you more thoughts. Is that what you want? Not really, right? So it's just making a choice to do different to get a different result. If you say to your brain, not directly say, but through your actions, through disregarding, through coming from a position of power, if you say, I don't care, this is silly, then your brain will stop sending you these thoughts. It's a protection mechanism. Next question. question about feeling, as you're saying, like walking by somebody or standing next to somebody. Sometimes an OCD thought could be feeling like you touch someone. How do you deal with this type of OCD? And then also having thoughts of, did you want to do it, and those kinds of things. So basically, this is a very common OCD. It's viewing it as OCD. When you're in a situation where you're around people, such as at a mall or, you know, any kind of a place where there's a lot of people, or a tight area, you know, it's just like you're saying, like an elevator or something like that. Make the choice to stand as you normally would. So don't try to get as far away from everybody as possible in case, what if I touch somebody, right? So you're standing as everybody else stands. When your mind gives you a thought afterwards, oh, what if I really did touch somebody? Let me try to go back. Let me try to figure it out. Well, you know, did anybody turn around? Did anybody look? All these kinds of thoughts. You're not reacting. You're choosing not to react. The more you choose not to react, the more you will start to feel comfortable, and these thoughts won't come into your mind. But as long as you're giving it energy, they will still continue to come into your mind. So you have to choose not to do it. Next question is, Ali, I have Puro thoughts on multiple themes. It seems like once my mind gets a hold of something negative, it keeps obsessing over it. Is it possible to recover from multiple themes at once? Most people have multiple OCD themes, and usually it cycles between all of them. So it's like, say a person has 3-4 themes, and then it goes this one, this one, this one, and it just keeps going back and forth. It's not always, but a lot of the time, I would say. So it's, yeah, of course it's possible to recover. It doesn't make a difference whether you're only worried about one thing or you're worried about multiple things. I would say, if anything, being worried about multiple things is a better scenario for recovery, because it means that you're not powering it up that much, since it's jumping from theme to theme. If it's not even jumping at all, it just means you're very much powering it up. And in both cases, you can recover. But, you know, if you just said to me, here, 2 people, one person has just one theme, and the other person goes between 2 or 3 themes, I would say but you know, it depends, because there's a lot of other criteria attached to it. But generally, I would say the person whose themes are jumping will most of the time recover faster. And again, this is just from experience. But both people, if they put in the work, they'll recover. Next question is, how can I connect with you? And the answer is, you can connect through the info@youhaveocd.com. But again, if you just want to ask me a question, guys, you have to understand, your email is not the only one that's going through. I'm getting hundreds of them, because OCD is a very common problem. So in terms of answering specific situations, I don't really do that. I only do it in sessions, or I do it through YouTube. And in that case, you can leave a comment under the video. So really, and then for signing up for the program, you can do it through youhaveocd.com, right through the website. So really, between those two, there's not a lot of need to email me personally. But if you still find that you do need to, you can email me at info@youhaveocd.com. Again, because I have such a backlog, it takes me a while to reply. So if you just want to sign up for the program, feel free to sign up on the website and book right through the website. So you sign up, and then right away you make an appointment, and it will show all the available slots that I have. And again, if you just want to ask me a question for the show, then just do it below any of the videos. Next question is, I have almost recovered from OCD, but still I'm facing a lot of depression. What should I do? Okay, so in terms of when you are in the final stages of recovery, I would equate it to, say, if somebody was in jail for a long time and they're coming out of jail and they have to assimilate back into normal everyday life. This is kind of the same thing. You have to, if you feel like you are at 90% recovery, you have to start living life as if, OCD is not a factor anymore. You have 10% or 5% or whatever, right? You have to start getting back into normal life. So I would say, say, and again, you know, I'm assuming you're not talking about clinical depression, but just feeling sad, and you have to start living life as you did before OCD, or as you want to live life now. You know, so say, you know, if you say like, I feel depressed because I wanted to do this, this, and this. Okay, this, and this. What is the first steps to do these things? And start doing them. Just like make a list and start putting steps into those things that you want to do. You know, and you will see that as you assimilate more into everyday situations, your depression will start to lift. Again, this is kind of hard because I'm not getting a lot of information of what is actually happening, but based on what you're saying, that's my, I see the situation a lot. So if it's just like basically what I see all the time, then that's probably the best way to handle it. Which avoidance is OCD avoidance and which is real avoidance? How do you tell the difference? The easiest way to tell the difference, and this works across all situations that have to do with OCD and OCD recovery. Are you coming from a position of power or from a position of fear when, in this case, when you are avoiding? Or when you're doing anything really, but okay, we're talking about avoidance when you're avoiding. If you're coming from a position of fear that's attached to OCD, so because of my OCD, I am avoiding, or because it's going to trigger me, I'm avoiding, then it's not good. If you are saying, I'm avoiding because it doesn't make sense for me because of this, this, and this, real life stuff, then that's fine. That kind of avoidance is fine. But if it's specifically because of OCD, and if you didn't have OCD, you wouldn't really avoid this, then I would say it's OCD driven. Push forward. Don't allow yourself to avoid. If it's in any other case, we will, you know, it's normal. It's good to avoid things from time to time, right? So, but it has to be for valid reasons, not because OCD is making you do something. And that goes along with everything else. OCD should not make you do anything in any way. You know, you should do things or not do things because it's your choice. You are in power. You are the boss of you. So you are making the choices. Next question is it normal that even if you analyze, you feel that OCD is saying, what OCD is saying is more convincing? Yes, it is normal because, you know, OCD comes from feelings. Even though logically I kind of get it, I still feel, what if it's real, you know? So yeah, it's normal. Like even what I used to reassurance doesn't make sense. I know I shouldn't be analyzing, but I just want to be sure about it. Okay, and that reassurance, that you're analyzing to be sure, to get reassurance. The more you get reassurance from a position of fear, because you're scared, you just want to make sure, right? The more you show fear, the worse it's gonna get. So it's when you say, I know I shouldn't be analyzing. The longer you continue to say that to yourself, I know I shouldn't be, but I'm doing it, the longer you're going to keep being in the OCD state. So yes, you shouldn't be, and you need to stop, you know, and you need to stop now or start cutting it down. And because it's every day counts, every day that you're suffering, you know, why are you doing this to yourself? You know, choose not to go through anxiety and recover and get your life back, right? Also, is it normal that sometimes you're not having the thought, but the anxiety is crippling as if it wants to push you to think or ruminate? Yes, and again, this is because the brain doesn't really care what the thought is. It thinks you're in danger. It's trying to send you fear. So if it's between thoughts, or it can't find something to attach to, or for whatever other reason, the anxiety sometimes is there without the thought. That happens from time to time. I see it. It's normal. Sometimes it has a thought, sometimes it has an image, sometimes there's no, it goes all kinds of ways. Having some OCD thoughts when you're almost recovered and the thoughts are just coming in on autopilot, how do you deal with that? So again, when you're almost recovered and you just have a thought from time to time, you know, don't even give it energy. You've already gone 90% of the way, right? You're almost recovered. I'm assuming 90%, right? So you're almost recovered. start living your real life, your normal life without the OCD. So OCD is no longer a factor. Fill that space in your mind with real things. Start focusing back into real life, right? And you will see that that 10% will take care of itself. But at the same time, don't allow yourself to analyze, ruminate, don't get into, also with physical compulsions or with mental ones, really. Don't get into a situation where you say to yourself again, just like the previous question, right? I shouldn't be doing this, but maybe this is just my one thing and that's fine. It's not fine, because when stress happens or when serious life situations happen that pushes you to the edge, OCD can play on that one little thing, and that one little thing can become much bigger or can lead to other OCD obsessions. So you have to finish the job of recovery. Don't do like 90% and then just leave it, just go to the 100. Having some OCD thoughts. Okay, yeah. Getting so lost in your OCD that you don't enjoy life anymore. Feeling like you don't want to live. Again, when you have really severe OCD, as I have as well, it's normal to feel like that, and you have to pull yourself out of it. I can tell you, I'm not the strongest person on earth, I can pull myself out of it, you can pull yourself out of it, but you actually have to work at it. So it's not going to be easy. It's, it does feel crippling having this kind of level of anxiety, but there's no other way out. You have to do this work, and you're just pushing through and you're doing it, and you will start to feel better. Enjoying life. Right now, because OCD attaches to the feelings. So as you're doing the recovery work, it's hard. You don't feel like you're enjoying it, but I would say that you still have to go through the motions. So say there's some event happening, everybody's going, you're going. If a family event, you're going. Do this, do that, you're doing it. So you're not saying, oh, I have OCD, I can't, or I don't want to, I don't feel up to it. Don't get into that pattern. If you're already in that pattern, pull yourself out of it and choose to go, even though you're not going to feel good. Because just choosing to go makes you come from more of a position of power and shows your mind that maybe things are not that scary, so you're already kind of training your mind the right way. And also, the more you start to pull yourself out of it, the more you start to enjoy life again. It all kind of comes full circle. You'll go back to the same person you were before OCD, but you have to do the work. You can read the comments below. You can see that this works. This recovery system works, but you have to do it for it to work. It's not going to work by itself. It's not a cold. It's not just going to go away after a week. You have to actually push through. So let the anxiety be there. Let it scream at you. You know what I was saying about like the corridor. You're walking down the middle of the corridor. Things are coming at you. This thought, that thought. Doesn't matter. You're walking down the center of the corridor until you reach full recovery. That's all that this is about. Not buying into the thoughts, not buying into doing the compulsions, not taking it seriously. Yes, I have a thought. Yes, it's very scary. We're not dealing with it. We're just choosing to leave it, and we're just moving forward. It doesn't matter how real it feels. If you get thoughts, images, feelings, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all part of OCD moving forward. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. That's the end of my questions. Please leave more questions for next week's show. And if you'd like to contact me, you can leave the questions below this video or any of my other videos. Or if you'd like to do the recovery program, information is on youhaveocd.com. Thank you for watching.